Really, we're talking about the culture. The secret sauce through all this is you're creating a culture of success. You're creating a culture of leadership development. As a leader, you have to realize that your success is in the hands of your team, and your team's success is your responsibility. You've heard me say it, I'm going to say it again. A leader's success is in the hands of the team, and the team's success is the leader's responsibility. A leader needs to understand that I succeed by the work of my team. So the most important thing that I can do is continue to empower them to do more. And then finally, as a leader, you need to just remember leadership development is your number one job. And for an organization to continue to grow, you've got to create a leadership development culture. All right, welcome back to Increase. I'm Blake Anderson. This is episode 60. We're going to keep right on trucking through the levels of the organizational leadership framework. We're in step number 5. It's 5 of 7. They're all P's. If you haven't gotten any of the ones that we've gone through before, go back. Whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you can find us there. You can find the first 4, as well as an introductory episode to what organizational leadership is, but they build upon each other. So I know you'll get value if you're just watching this first one, but really this first one, this one today, step number 5, it's number 5 for a reason. Because when you're creating a business, you're putting a team together, there are some foundational building blocks that have to be put in place first. There's some foundational work that has to be set up before you can bring in the talent to do the work. Most of the leadership books that we read are about people, and that's a strong part of this framework. But this framework is for people who want to lead organizations, and there's a process component to leading organizations that's more than just how do I impact one person. We're talking about organizationally. You can use this framework to start a business, to start a ministry, to create a new team or a new department. This is the steps you would use when you want to create something new, a new organization. But it's also the steps that you use even when you have a team to be able to lead them and take them to new places. Ultimately, organizational leadership is about creating alignment throughout the organization, from the people to the team to the teams that make up the organization. Because organizational leaders are trying to accomplish something so much greater than themselves. They're going to accomplish something with an organization of people that all have to work together to achieve this common goal. So dig into this. If you will take the time to go through each one of these episodes, I guarantee you 2024 will be a year like you've never seen before. I guarantee you'll experience increase, promotion, exaltation like you haven't experienced, and your businesses and teams will get results that maybe you've been unable to achieve thus far. Today, I'm going to give you some inside baseball on what it's like to work on one of my teams, the process that we use to bring in talented people and get them working together. It's going to be about people, but it's going to be the process behind leading people, the process behind assembling a team, because we're talking about organizations, okay? We're talking about leading organizations. Now, some of the folks that are watching, you might find yourself at the bottom of the org chart. You might find yourself in a place where you're not given the power or the authority to make organizational decisions. This is still for you, because when you understand this, you're going to begin to position yourself as a leader inside your organization. They're going to start giving you more authority and responsibility to keep moving up the chain. And as you know these things, and you even understand what the top dogs at the top are dealing with, you'll begin to do that at your level. And then they'll give you another level to do it at and another level to do it at. So we're talking about people, and you got to remember something I said last week is when you are creating a sustainable, successful business, you have to create systems for the business, and then you've got to recruit the people for the systems. All right? And so that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about leadership development. How do we create a team of people, and how do we develop them as leaders to be able to get better results than maybe we've experienced so far? So whether you're starting something new or you've been on a team for years, I think this will provide you value to start helping your team get to another level. So we're going to break up today's topic into 3 phases, and it's really the phases that you would form a team, because this is all about team formation, but you're also going to continue to lead them with this understanding. So the first thing is you put a team or an organization together. I'm assuming you've done steps 1 through 4. So step number 1, prosper. We've identified the goal that we're after, what success looks like. Step number 2, we've codified our principles, what's important, what are our core values as a company that anyone who joins the team must agree with. We've established the positions for the organization and the job responsibilities, about creating clarity of responsibility. And then we've created a process. We've created a process that we use from start to finish, and it's a process that's repeatable, and it's a process that anyone can join into. Super important topic, so go back and listen to last week. So we've done all these things. Now we're ready to fill this organization that we've created structurally with people. Now we want to do this the right way. Hopefully you're not like me. I've worked on some dysfunctional teams before, and it's not always because the people are liars or cheaters or stealers. Sometimes it's just, there's some of these things aren't defined clearly, or maybe you got the wrong person in the wrong seat. I'm going to reference a couple incredibly important leadership books today. Add them to your leadership library. This first one is Good to Great. It talks about so many different things. This is a 5-year longitudinal study done of some of the largest, greatest businesses of our time to find out what made them successful. And we're really talking about businesses that were good, that went to the next level. And one of the core things that these businesses did was they got the right people on the bus. So the first thing is you've got to hire the right people. Now that's easy to say, hire the right people. Most small businesses do this the exact wrong way. They hire their brother-in-law, they hire their sister, they hire their neighbor, they hire their former coworker, they hire their friend. And those people might turn out to be the best employees you could ever recruit to your team. But you got to have a process and you got to have a method so that you know whether these people that you think are so great, whether they are really going to fit what you're up to as an organization. All right. So the first step you've got to do is you've got to hire, but there's a method to the madness. And you need to be really clear about the way in which you're evaluating people so you know if someone good is a good fit for you. And I call it the 3 C's of recruitment. 3 C's of recruitment. And in my opinion, it's like a pyramid, okay? And so the 3 C's, we'll just draw them like a pyramid. We've got character. We've got chemistry. And then we've got competency, okay? Now, most organizations are doing one of 2 things. They're either hiring someone they like without thinking of any of this, or they're hiring someone who's competent without thinking about character. So most people are focused either on competency or chemistry, and they're doing it completely wrong. And you have to do it in this order. This is like a pyramid with a foundation. So the first step when you're hiring anyone is you've got to evaluate them for their character. Do they have a character fit that is in alignment with the company's principles and values? Do they have a character fit that is in alignment with the goal that you're after? See, if they're not a high character person, next, or maybe not yet. Trust me, you don't want to fill a seat because someone who's available just out of convenience. If they're not a right character fit, they don't share your principles and values, they will not be trustworthy long, and you will likely end up with a mess on your hands and maybe end up in a lawsuit or quickly firing someone. So step number 1, you've got to evaluate their character. Do they tell the truth? Are they on time? Do they complete their deadlines? Right? Do they have wisdom or knowledge? What is the character of the person? Step number 2 is chemistry. Really, we're talking about the culture. Organizational leadership framework. The secret sauce through all this is you're creating a culture of success. You're creating a culture of leadership development. And so the people that you hire, they might have the resume, but but they need to have the character, and they've got to be a chemistry fit for your culture, right? Is is your organization fast paced? Is it laid back? Is it results driven? Is it more about just having grace for people? What is the culture of your team and of your organization? And will this person fit? Do they have a chemistry fit? And then when you're bringing that person on, make sure that the people who are going to be working with that person have a chance to interview them, have them shadow them to find out if they're a chemistry fit. So when we bring on new hires on our team, if they're outside of our circle, what's not uncommon is after I've done my process of character, chemistry, and competency, before this person's officially hired, they're going to shadow me, and I'm going to have them also shadow someone already on the team. Because whoever they're going to be working with on a day-to-day basis, they better get along with them. And so a new hire is going to spend time with someone who will be a team member of theirs. And then after that day, I'm going to go back to that team member and say, how was the day? Did everybody get along? What's your take? They may not be the boss. They may not be writing the checks. But if they're a valuable member of your team, then their opinion needs to be valuable to you. So you've got to make sure that they are a chemistry fit for your culture. And then finally, finally the last C is competency. Now, most people think that competency is the first C, and they would put that first. We live are in such a resume-driven day that we think that competency is the most important. I'm telling you, it's important. But it is not even on the table until we've addressed character and chemistry. And then finally there's competency. And I look at competency a couple different ways. I kind of split this up into two places of experience. So I've got position experience, and then I've got industry experience. Okay? So when you're bringing someone on, to me, I am so much more willing to bring someone into my company who doesn't have industry experience if they've got experience with the position that I'm hiring them into. Most of us think the most important thing is that they're experienced in their industry. So I'm in the real estate development, construction, building industry. A lot of builders are interviewing people to see how much building experience do you have. That is important. But to me, if I'm hiring someone into the project management role, if you've got all the experience in the world, but you have only been a superintendent, you may not necessarily be a fit for the project manager's role just because you've got 20 years of experience in the industry. And I made that mistake in one of my first companies. I hired someone who was older than me, who on paper had built all the things that I wanted to start building, and I needed a project manager. He said that he could project manage, but he had the character and the chemistry, but his competency was wrong. He had the industry experience, but he didn't have the position experience because the project management position was so different than his superintendent position that he had always had. He was used to being hands-on on the site, and I needed someone who was going to schedule things, who was going to keep the details in order, and he was unable to do it, and it was a disaster. So you're hiring people. First, they got to have the right character. Second, they got to have the right chemistry. Third, their competency. And for me, position experience trumps industry experience. But ultimately, you're looking for the trifecta of someone who completes all that. I hope that gives you a framework to start recruiting your next team members. All right, so we've brought this. You've identified this person. You've made an offer. They said yes. The next thing we've got to do is after we hire them, we've got to place them. And that's kind of part of this hiring, but this is its own unique process on how to get someone on the right team in the right role for the team. Because a lot of times I've seen companies, they hire someone who fits all these things, but something just doesn't quite work. Now, bigger companies might just fire someone, but if you've run small organizations like I do, people are some of your most valuable assets. And when you find someone whose character and chemistry fit, but isn't quite clicking in their role, then I'm still looking for a fit because I know they have a chance to help me go to the next level. And so I'm going to place them in the right place. And we use a method in our organizations to place people from this book right here, The 6 Types of Working Genius. Patrick Lencioni, great organizational leadership writer. This book comes with an assessment. You can buy them separately. You don't have to read the book to take the assessment, but every single person that joins our team takes this assessment, because I'm in complete agreement with Lencioni that what makes someone a good fit isn't their resume or experience, but it's the tasks that they like to do. It's the tasks that are life-giving to them and that give them energy when they do it. And Lencioni, really quickly, I'm going to just give it to you, and hopefully you'll spend the $25 to take the assessment. Lencioni breaks a project up into 6 different tasks, from the beginning to the end. And Lencioni draws what looks like gears because they turn each other. Now, there's lots of different personality tests that are really great, but I've never found anything for work that works like this one. It revolutionized our organization when we all took this assessment, and we dramatically changed our whole team around this assessment, and the results we've had have been staggering to get the right person in the right place. And so what Lencioni says is every project starts on the front end with someone who wonders, who asks a question, how could we go to the next level? What could be different here? Then a project progresses into invention or strategy. There's someone on the team who likes to create strategies for new projects or plans. After the strategy is created, there's a skill set called discernment, where there's someone who likes to weigh in on whether the strategy is good and make the minor tweaks to perfect the strategy. This person feels really comfortable making final decisions. And it's important to have someone like that. Finally, once a project or plan is made and it's ready to launch, there's a person on the team that's the galvanizer, and they're the person, they don't create the plan, but they bring all the people together. They're the person that loves to text, get on the phone, they might host the meetings, and people respond to them. And so they bring the team around the project. And finally, we're ready to get started, and there's someone on the team who's an enabler, and they love to empower people to get work done. They're driven by helping people making progress. And then finally, when the project is under production and coming to a close, you absolutely must have someone on your team who is tenacious or has the genius of tenacity, meaning that they love to dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and make sure that everything is filed in its right location. This will revolutionize who you put in certain places. It might help you rewrite certain job descriptions. But when you want to make sure that you're placing people in the place that turns their crank, people are not going to do a very good job at anything that they don't like. No matter what their resume says, no matter what they tell you or how bad they need a job, they will only do a good job long term at something that gives them energy and that they enjoy. And this assessment will help you figure out where someone falls. Are they someone who loves details and will track all the details? Are they someone who will follow up and drive progress? Or are they someone who loves to create strategy? See, when you know this about people, you get them in the right position, but you also learn to leverage their genius. And your team starts to work together in a whole nother level, because someone who's got a frustration and tenacity, instead of continuing to get poor results doing something where they have to file things away or track details, they lean on the person next to them who loves the details. And they say, tell you what, you take care of this, and anytime you need a phone call made, I'd love to make the call for you because I'm a galvanizer. So what I learned about myself, just putting it out there, is that I'm an I and a D, which means I love strategy and I love to make the final decisions to lock the strategy in place. But one of the most insightful things wasn't just that I love strategy, was that I get super frustrated at enablement and tenacity. So I launch projects with vigor, and I can create a strategy and even motivate people to do the projects, but I don't close very strong. So for me to have success, I've had to create a team of people who do all of the skill sets that I'm not good at, and especially value the people that have tenacity and will make sure that all the final details are addressed. So you hire the people, and then you got to get them placed. And that's more than just put in the position. That's got to give them the right role responsibility. That's a good fit for their personality. And then finally, you've got to lead them. You've got to lead them. No matter how talented the people are that you hire, they're not going to lead themselves. They still need a leader. You can't just assume this person is really experienced and they've got a deep resume, and so I'm just going to let them do it. No, organizations need leadership. Teams need leadership. They need people with influence who will take the time to continue to steer them in the right direction. People also need to be appreciated, and they need to know that they're valued. And so, as you're leading people, we have 3 E's of leadership that we're going to put up here. And it's really about how you would form a team, how you might run a meeting, or how you might have an individual interaction. But the 3 E's of leadership are empathize, encourage, and equip. Empathize, encourage, and equip. You've heard the old saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This couldn't be further. This couldn't be more true. When you are leading people, no matter how brilliant your strategy is, no matter how much you've thought it through, no matter how much someone's getting paid, they need to know that you care about them. You need to empathize. So whether you're starting a meeting or you're starting a conversation, the first thing, and these go in order, by the way, they work together in an order. And if you'll do them in an order, you'll see greater results. The first thing that you want to do is you want to empathize. So they need to know that you care. You get down on the level, you learn to speak their language. Okay? Effective communication is not so much about what you say, but about what is what is understood. Okay? So you want to make sure that the people you're leading feel understood. Okay? And that they understand what you're communicating. So you have to empathize, step number 1. Step number 2 when you're leading people is you've got to encourage them. You need to recognize their importance and contribution. People need to know that they're valued. You need to affirm their value and their gifts and the skills that they bring to the table. Leadership is about influence and keeping people bought into the project and the process. So to get long-term sustainable results, we've got to get long-term commitment. And you're going to get long-term commitment with your team when they know that they are valued, when they know that they're seen, when they believe that they are being recognized for what they're contributing. And so if I was starting a meeting, and I run every meeting this way, whether it's a face-to-face meeting or a larger team meeting, first things first, we're going to empathize. How's everybody doing? How was your weekend? How's your week be? Everyone at the table needs to feel like that they've been recognized and that everyone is present to them. Give a chance to be able to connect on a personal level. We start to open our hearts to each other when we get to talk about personal things. Once I empathize, I'm going to encourage. I'm going to take a few moments to recognize the value, the gift, the skill set that someone might have and they bring to the table. So when I build them up that way, then they're open to receive normally what meetings are about, the 3rd E, which is equip. Most of the time we have meetings as leaders, we realize it's our job to equip people. Whether we're training a new skill, a process, introducing a new software, a new tool, we have to equip them. But if you want someone to listen, and if you want someone to take you seriously, then you better take the time to empathize and encourage. Once there's empathy established and the person's been encouraged, they are so willing to follow you places. And they are hungry and looking forward to the equipping that you need to do. Now make a quick statement on equipment. Unfortunately, a lot of leaders aren't very good at that. Too many people are hiring someone with a strong resume and thinking they can just leave them to do their thing. As a leader, you have to realize that your success is in the hands of your team. And your team's success is your responsibility. You've heard me say it, I'm going to say it again. A leader's success is in the hands of the team, and the team's success is the leader's responsibility. And so that you know that you're responsible and accountable for their results, then how well they do is your responsibility. So you better make sure they're doing a great job. So you need to take the time to equip them with whatever tools, process, skills, software that they need in order to be able to do their job successfully, right? And you can't just assume that they're going to do it on their own. A leader needs to understand that I succeed by the work of my team. So the most important thing that I can do is continue to empower them to do more. Because when they do more, then I do more. I might have things on my list that I've got to do, but first and foremost, I've got to make sure that my team is empowered so that they can continue to move the project forward. And on this equipping, what makes the difference in your organization is that you're always understand that as a leader, you want to always be developing new leaders. Don't be afraid that someone is going to take your job. If anything, you need to be hiring your replacement. If you want to grow up the ladder, you will do that as your team succeeds and you hire your replacement. If you expect and want a promotion, then prepare your team to succeed when you leave. Create the process and equip the people that can step into your place when you move on. Leaders lead leaders. Let me say that again. Leaders lead leaders. It's a weak leader who's trying to hold their people down. It's a weak leader who wants to be wanted, needs to be needed. The best leaders don't need to be needed or want to be wanted. The best leaders are thinking, how can I help? How can I empower you? How can I equip you to do more without me here? And how can I help you get more fulfillment out of what you do? Because I believe that the more joy you derive from the work you get to do, the longer term commitment you will have to this team, and you'll be willing to do the things that take us to the next level, and which may require the extra mile. So I've said a lot in the last 28 minutes. You may need to go back and listen again. I've given you the highlights of something that will likely take you months to really formulate for your business and your team. And really the best thing to do would be to take these 3 topics and either pause the episode or go back and think about them for yourself. So if you are a team leader or you run a company, really think about your recruitment process and think about it in terms of character, chemistry, and competency. What is the character traits that is important to my team? Chemistry, what is the culture of our organization so I know who's the right fit and not? And then what are the competencies for each position that we need to be successful? Second, you want to take no delay in rolling out the Working Genius assessment. Even if you have no employees or team yet, do it for yourself. Take it immediately. Get everybody to do it. Start to see who falls where on the assessment so you can start making the changes necessary, getting people in the right place. The results you experience will be worth more than the money that you paid for everybody to do it, and the enjoyment people will have doing a role that they love, it can't be quantified or qualified. And then finally, as a leader, you need to just remember leadership development is your number one job. And for an organization to continue to grow, you've got to create a leadership development culture. You need to build it into your process. It's got to be a part of how you structure your weeks and your meetings. We have a weekly team meeting every week, and the largest part of the team meeting every week is leadership development. Because I'm a subscriber of John Maxwell, who said that everything rises and falls on leadership. And so we're always developing ourselves and each other to be greater leaders, so that as we grow, the organization grows with us. Join me next week for our next episode of Increase. We'll continue through the organizational leadership framework with the plan.